Humans have existed on Earth for about 1 million years, yet we reached such peaks of advancement in a fraction of this time in just 7,000 years. Our acceleration and progress might not be a mere coincidence, as several ancient cultures across the globe have tales of gods descending from the heavens. So, what really happened? A plausible explanation that comes up goes like this. This planet was discovered by some intergalactic travelers around 50,000 years ago. They chose to mix and breed an intelligent race on the planet and gave us technology, knowledge, and genes in our gene pool. Thus, we started advancing at an accelerated pace, while simultaneously worshiping these gods. They promised to return and left. What may have been a short span of time for them was probably thousands of years for us, in which we continued our advancement and carried on the worshiping. The gods did eventually return, perhaps to observe us. Each time they returned, they would help out a little bit. A little more knowledge, a little more of civilization, which would explain the extraordinary feats of building the pyramids, the monoliths, and other big stone structures. And then once again, the gods would leave with a promise of return. This promise got converted into things like Day of Judgment, Day of Reckoning, or End of the World. Perhaps the relics at Easter Island were built in preparation for the return of the gods, but the gods never came, and so it was abandoned. Perhaps the Aztecs had suddenly abandoned their cities so suddenly because the year of arrival had come and gone without a visit from them. Perhaps the city of Lot was an experiment gone wrong and was being destroyed. Perhaps the aliens didn't like the progress of the human race and decided to start anew by flooding everything out, as explained by multiple ancient cultures around the world. And now we wait for the return of our gods. The UFO sightings and alien abductions of today are probably them checking in on us. Ever notice when we refer to God, we point up towards the sky? Could it be that the gods of our ancestors were visitors from another world? And is the idea of God being an alien more than just a fanciful thought? To support the idea of aliens visiting Earth, let us look at some evidence out there, starting with the chance of finding intelligent life in the stars. Looking at a tiny part of the sky with a small telescope, we can see about 2 million stars. On average, it is estimated that there are about 100 sextillion stars. That is 10 raised to the power of 22. There may be even more out there. If we say that the conditions for life are around 1 in 10,000 stars, we will have 10 raised to the power 18 stars left. If 1 in 10,000 of these have an atmosphere suitable for life, we get 10 raised to the power of 14. And if 1 in 1,000 of these have produced life, we have 10 billion. Take 1 in 10,000 of these as planets that have developed some form of intelligent life, and we get 1 million planets. We could keep reducing the probability of existence of intelligent life out there and still reach 200. The existence of extraterrestrial life is not just a possibility. It is a theory supported by ever-growing evidence. One of the basic assumptions of this theory is the assumption that extraterrestrial life is a reality, and this is reiterated in evidence being presented again and again here as we proceed. Is God an astronaut? Let's look at some evidence from the Bible. Go to your Bible or search online for the following passages. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Who is our? Why is God talking like a group? Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 to 2. Who are the sons of God? Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. This describes mighty men known as the sons of God who mated with humans. Just about all the ancient books describe these giants. Keep in mind that if aliens had come from a planet with lower gravity, they would be extremely tall and sport large chests, similar to the giants. Genesis chapter 19, verse 1 to 28 describes or relates some sort of catastrophe countdown, wherein the angels of God tell the prophet Lot to hurry and get out of the city into the mountains, and not to look at the explosion. Why the rush? Why a countdown? In the Old Testament, Ezekiel describes in detail a visit by these gods and refers to fire from the vehicle and gives a description of what we would see as an all-terrain vehicle. Apparently, Ezekiel was so impressed by these that he kept describing the ship and vehicle over and over again. Exodus chapter 15 verse 10 and Exodus chapter 25 verse 40. Noah was given the exact instructions and measurements for building the ark. down to the inch. Also, it was described to be electrically charged because things like sparks and flashes were said to be there. Was that perhaps a means of communication with the god? Also, the flood epic in the Bible isn't confined to the pages of the Bible. It exists in just about every culture. How did all of them come up with the same flood story? Why was it, perhaps, that the aliens were attempting to breed an intelligent race of humans and were attempting to destroy the experiments that they weren't satisfied with? In this New Age era, we have come to realize that a lot of things what was once deemed impossible in the past is now within our reach. Some of us might be familiar with the old classic novel by Jules Verne that was written in 1872, where he fantasized about a trip around the world in 80 days. Nowadays, it takes 90 minutes for an astronaut to do that. In those days, his ideas were considered to be pure science fiction. Yet not only have we proven that false, but we've also outdone it. Ideas of today may be scoffed, yet some of them do eventually become reality. This is one of the unfortunate tendencies we seem to always maintain. Sooner or later, man will have conquered space, and we will have conquered Mars, then the solar system, and perhaps distant stars. Now, let us assume that in the not-so-distant future when humans must have conquered space and a spaceship leaves Earth to another planet, if the ship were traveling fast enough, then time would slow down for the crew in what is referred to as time dilation. 10 years would pass on the ship, whereas 100 years may have gone by back home on Earth. The ship lands on a planet inhabited by a population of creatures in the state of development that Earth was 10,000 years ago. What do you think the primitives would think of these strange visitors coming in large, roaring ships? They will most likely close their eyes and face the ground, fearing these gods. The gods have descended from the heavens to visit them. The crew would study these inhabitants, pick up their language, and would be able to communicate with them. Priests from the tribe would approach them and pay homage and offer gifts. One thing is certain, that there is no amount of explanation that would deter any of the primitives from the notion that these are gods. Our crew would also teach the primitives some of the basic values of civilization. The crews would interbreed among them by choosing their women. This would lead the natives to giving birth to a generation that's actually a few generations ahead in intelligence and abilities. The crew would eventually leave, perhaps with a promise of return. Back on that planet, the saga would continue. They will write stories, erect statues, drawings, temples. Shifting focus back to our own planet now. Generally, when a certain point of mystery in our past is raised or questions regarding the history of something, the scholars will tell us what happened in so-and-so way, and that will get accepted without much thinking on our part. But there are some things on this planet that are simply too weird for explanation and are hence not addressed by these scholars. I will touch on a few in this video, but you can also do your own research to come up with more. Let us start with the Piri Reis maps, found in Topkapi Palace. The map was found in the possession of a Turkish Navy admiral. It was a map of the world showing even North and South America, and even Antarctica if the ice caps were to be removed. However, the map was seemingly distorted. A startling discovery showed that projecting the map onto a sphere would produce an exact view of how the world would appear if it were seen from a certain distance in space. How did our ancestors get a hold of this? Another unexplained mystery is the presence of straight geometrical lines that intersect and form trapezoids in Nazca, Peru. And they're not even roads because they end abruptly. Also, the ancient city of Tiwanaku is a city teeming with mysteries. Here, archaeologists found an accurate calendar that gave the equinoxes, astronomical seasons, and the positions of the moon at every hour. The calendar they found is from 27,000 years ago. How is this possible? Also, at Tiwanaku, one can find huge sandstone blocks with accurate stonework on it in seemingly impossible ways. There's also a great idol at the old temple, and the Gate of the Sun shows flying gods on it. Tiwanaku also holds a legend of flying ships from the stars. When evidence such as the ones mentioned above are brought into light, they are usually dismissed. We usually say that it's either the ancient civilizations were extremely advanced and we've lost all their technology, or they had active imaginations. Yet the existence of these mysteries cannot be denied. Just about every culture, somewhere or the other, presents us with the same cave drawings, the same legends, the same flying gods. Why? If it is indeed all lies, how did all of them come up with the same harebrained idea? Our planet is a testament to the diversity of life, but we constantly make the mistake of assuming that life must exist, develop, and flourish in conditions exactly like ours. Yet, on this planet of ours, we have anaerobic bacteria that live in environments that possess no oxygen. Germs have also been found in the lethal water that surrounds a nuclear reactor. Experiments that recreated the conditions of Jupiter were also seen to have supported life. Some bacteria live in volcanoes, some eat stones, and some produce iron. The point being made here is that life can exist in any condition, and an alien civilization out there might consider their conditions to be the ideal one for sustaining life. In conclusion, the mysteries of our past, the advancements of our present, and the possibilities of our future all point towards a universe much more complex and interconnected than we've ever imagined. The idea that we're not alone, that our history might have been influenced by beings from other worlds, is not only a source of wonder, but also a reminder of the endless possibilities that the universe holds. And now, as we wait for the return of our gods, what do you think about the possibility of extraterrestrial influence on human history? Is God an alien? Share your thoughts and subscribe for more thought-provoking content.